Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Spring Forward podcast. I'm your host, Spring Richardson-Perry, and we have Ms. Winter here with us today, my little co-host. If you hear her cooing in the background, she is super excited to be co-hosting today. But today we have a very special guest with us. We have Jorge Gonzalez. He is the author of the best-selling book, Answer the Call. He learned from a personal career altering disability that he had, and he used this to help people gain practical insights on resilience, legacy, and pursuing, your true purpose. So we're going to talk to him today about helping you to answer the call and discover your full potential in a brighter future. So without further ado, guys, please help me welcome Jorge. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
I am well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. It's a little wet here in California because of the rain, but it should be done in the next couple hours.
Yes, I know you guys aren't used to rain too much. I know I have lots of family in LA, and whenever it rains out there, it's like the world stops. Whoops, I'm sorry about that, guys. Excuse me. Little Miss Winter has me doing some crazy things. But well, I want to jump right in, Jorge, because I want to talk about answering the call. And so tell us a little bit about your personal journey of reinvention after you faced the disability that impacted your career. How did you navigate that really challenging situation, and what inspired you to take a new path forward?
So yeah, after my accident, it was something that I wasn't expecting. Went to work one day and had a slip and fall, and that slip and fall actually herniated 3 discs in my spine, one in my lower spine, mid spine, and one in my neck. And so I was disabled for about 3.5 years. I couldn't do anything for the most part. Couldn't even lift a gallon of milk. I couldn't sit, couldn't lay, couldn't stand for long periods of time. Uh, I went into depression. I've had some suicidal thoughts. I was heavily medicated, and I think a lot of the medication had a lot to do with those negative thoughts that I was going through. But yeah, it was really uh, uncomfortable. It's one of the most uncomfortable things that I've ever had experienced. I felt useless. I didn't feel like a man. I couldn't provide for myself or my family, and I wanted to give up. And but I knew that that the things that my parents had done for me, the sacrifices that they have done, and I was able to tap back into that and remember those things. Like my grandfather, migrated from Mexico back in World War II. My father being my parents being agriculture farm workers and whatnot, the sacrifice they did for us. And I knew that I had to pull myself together and get myself out of that depression state and suicidal thoughts that I had, and definitely get off the medication. And that's when I really reinvented myself and got into real estate. And the way I got into real estate is actually I heard this voice that whispered, said real estate. And that's what actually got me to look into real estate, getting my real estate license. And the reason it was easy for me was because I was doing kitchen and bathrooms and rehabs and doing some flips with my dad and my uncle since the age of 14. So getting into real estate wasn't really far fetched for me because I've already had a lot of the experience. So it was really easy for me to transition from the distribution, logistics, and warehouse management career that I had for 20 years into the real estate industry because I just tapped into that knowledge and that background that I had, and I used it to create a new path forward.
That is really inspiring. I can definitely understand how a slip and fall like that can change your life. I mean, you herniated 3 discs, you said?
Yes, 3 discs, one in my L5, one in my mid spine, and one in my neck.
Eek. Oh my goodness. Well, I am glad you are. I don't know if you're ever fully recovered from something like that, but able to have more of a normal day-to-day routine. And it sucks because, as you're dealing with this pain and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What am I going to do? Life is still happening, right? And so you had to, in addition to deal with this accident, still deal with life. And so I really commend you for coming out of that. And leaning on your family is what it seems like is what was really able to help you pull you out of that. And so that's kind of where I'm going next here is, you took inspiration from them and able to really get yourself out of that depression and to really pull yourself up, and get into the real estate that your family was already doing. So can you share some specific instances, from your family's history, or just in that moment that you were able to get yourself out of this really dark space, that help you to change your mindset, and to really start to think differently so that you could start to provide for your family?
So growing up, I was raised around some very strong men. My grandparents, my father, and my uncles. They were hardworking men, and I learned when I was really young that my grandfather, as he was working here in the United States and his family was back home, he was sending money to Mexico, and he was buying plots of land. So he was a landowner. So that's real estate investing, buying plots of land, and then working with my dad and my uncle at the age of 14, excuse me, and doing the kitchen and bathrooms and rehabs. That was like the foundation for me because I actually learned when I was 20 that these properties that we were working on actually belonged to my uncle. So that actually motivated and inspired me to buy my first piece of property when I was 21, my second when I was 25, my third at 27. And before the market crashed in 2008, I had bought an apartment complex, a nineplex. So when I got hurt and I heard that whisper, I had so much knowledge and background with real estate because I was already a real estate investor myself because I was buying properties. I was also with my uncle and my dad at the age of 14, and then my grandfather being a landowner. I knew that when I heard that whisper real estate, that it was really something that I've always wanted to do, like become a real estate agent and really be like in the middle of real estate so I can have access to like bigger projects, better properties, off-market properties. And I knew that, wait a minute, this is an opportunity not only but to help myself, but also help so many people that have been wondering and been wanting to invest in real estate.
Yeah, real estate is a tricky thing to be involved in, and the fact that you had that background with your family, I'm sure made it easier for you to get into it. But also thinking about just the resilience that you had here, and the hard work, that came into just getting yourself out of this state and jumping right into real estate again. How do you believe that these qualities, can be used by individuals facing these types of setbacks um, to transform opportunities for them?
Well, I learned that life is about cycles and seasons. And because I've been embarked in personal development for a very, very long time, way before my injury. So I had that mindset already because I was reading these biographies of people that have gone through certain adversities and life-threatening illnesses and whatnot, and how they overcame them. So when it happened to me, I also I I prayed a lot. I got closer to God, and I asked Him for guidance, for wisdom, for strength, and a lot of my faith really helped me and really gave me that peace that I needed, that strength, and really the common sense and the vision, and also understanding certain things, and being able to have discernment from different things that were coming at me. So I think tapping into to your belief and believing in something higher than yourself, and always knowing too that your life has purpose. I mean, I've always believed that I was here for something bigger than myself. I've always believed that I was here to make some kind of a change and impact in the world. And it wasn't until I published my book in 2021 that I actually realized, wait a minute, my journey was supposed to happen this way. Because now I can talk about certain things and not tell people, I can just imagine what you're going through. No, no, no. I know what you're going through because I went through that too. And this is how I overcame these things. So it's all a journey. It's a process. Life was molding me. It was pressuring me. It was building me. It was reinventing me for me to become the person that I am today.
Ooh, Jorge, you are dropping these gems. I like this is resonating with me. Because I've had similar experiences where it's like, well, why did this happen? Or what was that for? And then there's a moment in your life where all of those experiences come full circle and you're like, oh, that was the point, right? And so it is super important, for me at least, that I do have a relationship with God, like you said,
Yeah.
because these are the things that keep me going. When I get down or, something happens and it just seems like everything is just like coming at me at one time, I need that superhuman strength to keep me going. So I love, love, love what you're saying here. Love this. You mentioned your book here, and I want to jump into that. I want to talk about a specific lesson or insight from your book, that you believe resonates with most people, who are looking to sort of reinvent themselves or pursue their true calling.
I think the most important thing, and I actually share this in my first chapter of my book, is foundation. And every time I'm on stage on speaking engagements, I talk about foundation. And what foundation is what people call also the reason why. Like for me, my foundation is my grandfather's sacrifice that he did, that when he just made a decision to migrate from Mexico to the United States during World War II, under this work agreement between the United States and Mexico called the Bracero program, he came to the United States. He was recently married. He had a child that was 1 year old, one a couple of months old, and he made that sacrifice. So when I heard about that in my early teens, it made me emotional, it made me proud, and it humbled me. And I understood, wait a minute, what everything I do in my life or anything that I've ever encountered obstacles, I'm going to use this as my foundation and as my inspiration to pull me out of any scenarios that I ever have to handle. Because my grandfather did this, and my grandmother sacrificed also by staying at home in Mexico, and they both sacrificed together. There's nothing in my life can be anything more difficult than that situation. So, and that's the foundation. So everything that I'm building it on the foundation of that sacrifice. And because I'm doing it for them and I'm not doing it for self, I'm never going to quit and I'm never going to give up, because I'm never going to disappoint them and their sacrifice. It will never be in vain.
That is so heartwarming. Oh my goodness. When we truly think about the sacrifices that our ancestors made for us, it makes us see things differently. It makes us do things differently. It really makes us think differently because they had it a lot harder than we did. We have it, if you really think about it, we kind of have it easy. We have technology at our hands. We have a lot more opportunities available to us than they did. And they're more accessible to us than they were to them. And so, yeah, Winter, is this making sense? So, that is just heartwarming. Oh my goodness. So so your book is called Answer the Call, and I want to know specifically, what do you define the call as, and how do we recognize when we're being called?
So when I wrote my book in 2021, I was gonna call my book American Inventor, because I'm also an inventor. I invented a batting machine for baseball and softball. But that title, American Inventor, is more for self, is more bragging. Okay, look, I'm an inventor, right? But the moment that I was finalizing that title with my publishing company, I was on the phone with them. I heard this most powerful, sweetest voice whisper that I ever heard in my life. And this was the second time I heard it. First, I heard it with real estate, and then I heard it, and that whisper said, answer the call. And then I heard it a second time, answer the call. And then I said it out loud. And my publishing company asked me, George, what is that? And I was like, This is the name of the book. Where did you get that from? It was just whispered to me. And they said, okay, George, we're scrapping American Inventor and we're going with Answer the Call. At first, I didn't really understand what that meaning was. I thought I did, but I didn't really understand it. A couple of weeks later, it came to me that Answer the Call is about finding your gifts, your talents, and pursuing your life's purpose. And each and every one of us is being called to answer the calling on our life. That's what Answer the Call means.
That is beautiful. I, I probably could not have explained that any better. That is beautiful. Season two is all about community. And so talk to us about how answering the call, how that has helped you to foster a sense of community, whether that's in your local community, whether that's through your business ventures, or at home.
I believe, well, no, I don't believe, I know that God speaks to us in many different ways and different forms. Sometimes He speaks to us through music, through videos, through other people, certain things that might happen in our lives, but He's always talking to us. And He's asking us to answer that call because He's calling on us. He's asking us to invent this thing that we're supposed to invent, this widget, create this product or service, start this nonprofit organization, give back to the community, either to the homeless, to the children, to battered women or single moms. He's always touching and pulling on our strings of our heart. He's always doing that. But sometimes we don't listen, we discard it. Like there was many times where I would know things and think like, I must be making that up. No, I wasn't making that up. He was inserting certain things. He was giving me access to certain things, certain knowledge, wisdom, and it was up to me to implement these things. But I discard it for being like, oh, I'm just a nobody. I'm just a little guy. I mean, what do I know about that? But He trusted me with these things. So when He whispered to me to come into real estate, I was obedient to that. When He told me about the batting machine, by the way, He woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning one day. He gave me this image. I sketched it out. I went back to sleep. I woke up in the morning and my sketch was right there. He planted that invention in my mind. And then He woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we have to be obedient to what He puts in our mind and what He puts in our hearts. He's trying to tell us, this is how I want you to feed yourself. This is your gift. This is your talent. And this is your life purpose. And then everything that He gives us, we are meant to share because we're here to serve. We're here to serve each other, our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues. This is what we're here to do. So if we want to get rewarded more often, we have to be obedient to what He tells us to do. If not, we're going to see that shrinking until we no longer get anything because we're not doing anything with it. So He's just going to give it to somebody else that's more obedient, because those that don't use it, it will be taken away.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say it happened to you at 3 o'clock in the morning because three is one of those divine numbers. And so, that's nothing but God that's speaking to
Mhm.
you and letting you know, this is coming from me. So I need you to hear this, to take this seriously, and to know that I am here to help you.
Mhm.
So this is amazing, George. I really appreciate you for coming and sharing your experiences with us and sharing your story with us. Before we end though, before we wrap it up, I want to, one more thing, talk about you and what you're doing. And so talk to us about some of the projects that you have going on, or what is the thing that most excites you right now about what you're doing.
The, the most, excuse me, the most exciting thing for me is being able to share the stories and sharing my journey and motivate and inspire people, because I know that I've always had this knowing that I had this huge calling on my life. I just didn't know what that looked like because I hadn't even lived life yet. But now, as being able to write this book and put all these stories that are really dear to me and very personal to me in my book, and being able to share those stories and seeing the impact that I do with these stories and how I motivate and inspire people, I know that I'm here to motivate and inspire the next generation and anyone that's going through adversity, through struggles, that are looking to reinvent themselves because of some major event that happened into their life. I know that. And so now I feel like my calling is to motivate and inspire 1 billion people in my lifetime, where I can also leave this ripple effect where they also are able to reach the people that they're meant to reach. So that is like that's the major thing that I got going now. And that's the thing that I'm most excited about. And also, share with people about real estate investing and how can they create generational wealth so their loved ones don't have to suffer what we had to suffer and what our parents had to suffer. Because like you said earlier, it's easier for us now, so we have to make it easier for the next generation, not to make them not to enable them, but to have them better prepared than when we were prepared. Because I've struggled and I've suffered a lot, and because I've suffered and I struggled a lot, I want to make sure that my kids, my grandkids, and my great grandkids, and any of my bloodline and my lineage, that they don't suffer what I suffered because I already took the hits, so they don't have to take the hits.
Ooh, I love that. My husband says that all the time. I did enough time for everybody. So y'all better be good. So I love that. But I think one of the biggest things for me in trying to set my kids up for success is what you said, is finding that balance between enabling them in a sense and like making them understand how to work hard for what they want, but also giving them something that sort of catapults them
Mhm.
when they do get into adulthood. And so how do you find that balance?
I'm really glad you asked me that because I've been nurturing my daughter since the day she was born. She's 25. She's just graduated from Long Beach University this past year with the business marketing degree. She just got a job with LA Galaxy. That's her first job out of university. But I mean, I used to play school with her when she was a baby. I used to use her teddy bears as her classmates. I had a whiteboard. I was showing her the alphabet, letters, numbers, and she's smarter than I am. She's wiser than I am. She's more educated than I am because that's what I wanted her to become. I wanted her to become better than me because I became the person for her that I wish I had when I was growing up. And I made her earn her way. I gave her an allowance, but she had to clean her room, clean her own bathroom. She had to get good grades, but she earned things. I bought her the things that she needed, but she had to pay for the things that she really wanted. I gave her the needs, she bought the wants. And that's how I raised her. And I told her that this is how I want you to raise my grandkids, that they need to earn their way. You buy them the necessities, but they need to buy their wants with whatever way you reward them for doing the things that you want them to do, like getting good grades, being good people, giving back to the community, looking after themselves, cleaning after themselves. That's how you earn it. And she loves the way that I raised her, and she wishes that other people that she knows and she's in the same age group, she wishes that they were raised that same way because she applauds me that I raised her in this way.
Yeah, I like that. And I think I have to probably try to do more of that. A lot of that I do with my kids in terms of you have everything you need. Now, if this is something that you want, then we just talk about a reward system and what this is going to look like. But I think a lot of times we as parents, we are so caught up in trying to give our kids a better life than what we had. We forget. Oh, yeah. We forget about the balance, as Winter
Yeah.
says. We forget about balancing it out. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much, George. I appreciate you for coming on here today and sharing your story and your experience with us. It has truly been a blessing. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. And until next time on the Spring Forward podcast.
See you soon.